What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. So I'm not too sure if you guys are actually watching the market right now, but SPI, which is one of the stocks that I traded yesterday and that we called out right before the huge spike at $1.20, ended up going all the way to $1.88. I think that was the top resistance. It hit $2.34 during pre-market hours. So I think it's up about like 64%, not too sure. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm going to be looking at when actually analyzing stocks. Again, this whole video is just to kind of just share my whole thought process when analyzing stocks, setting up a plan before I decide to jump on another stock to make sure that I manage my risk and promote growth within my trade, and kind of just, in a sense, how I find the stock, how I plan my trade out, and then how I execute. So learn, plan, trade. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys do, please feel free to let me know. And if there's any questions or suggestions that you guys would like to recommend, the best way to let me know is within the TechBot Solutions group chat. If you can please direct message me there, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And that's by far one of the best, in a sense, just platforms that you guys can utilize, in a sense, to get the best response from me. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in, and let's get to it. Right, so I'm going to be talking about kind of like what I'm using, right? So I'm obviously using like YouTube live streams to share my screen, but I'm using the Primary Pick Checklist, which is a file that you guys could actually download within TechBot Solutions. The whole point of this checklist is to filter out stocks within your watch list, to focus on certain stocks that are actually doing better, or will most likely do good as the market opens, right? So it's the reason, or how I found these stocks are because I performed technical analysis on certain stocks within the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, and I did this yesterday, right? So after the market closed, analyzed certain stocks, and then that's how I found the potential. So really, one of the biggest indicators that I like to focus on is volume. I like to make sure that I can get in and out pretty quick. And right now, the stocks that are seeing the most volume, and the reason I find these to be the most important, or one of the most important indicators, is because usually the ones that see high volume are pretty good gappers, right? Within the morning, there's different scanners that you guys can utilize, especially within the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, and I necessarily don't use the scanners. I really just use the indicator of volume from top to bottom. So this is all I do. I click from top to bottom. I saw that SPI was one of the top ones. BAC, I believe that's Bank of, let me see. Bank of America. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that stock too much, just because I mean, the movement within a day isn't necessarily enough to day trade. But SPI, look at this. So we called this one out yesterday, right before the spike. My roommate called it out at like $1, and he said he wrote it from like $1.05 to $1.15, I believe, is where he sold, just because he thought that's where the resistance was. So I hit a support at $1. So again, like going into this, right? So we know that the support is at $1, and how do we know that, right? Well, it's bouncing, right? So let's just focus on this little area right here. It was holding pretty well above $1, and that's how we identified $1 as a support. He decided to jump on in at 105 after he started seeing signs of upward momentum. He sold at 115 to 120, and the reason why is because if you focus here, that was a previous resistance, right? But all of a sudden, it just passed that resistance and continued to rise. And I really had to follow, through on where it was going to peak out at. And I had to go days back to actually see where previous resistance levels were at, in a sense, to indicate, where the new support is going to be and where the new resistance was going to be. And I identified during my live video yesterday 140 to be a true support. And I bought in only with one share. And as it continued to rise, I started to buy more. But I bought in too heavily in the 170 areas. And when I locked in my profits, just my actual profits that I locked in, if I would have bought in more again here at 140, would have been so much more, since from 140 to 178, which is where I sold, would have been 21% profit, but I definitely did not lock that in. But now let's just focus on how it's doing right now, right? So that was yesterday's trade. As of yesterday, the support that it set was at $1.30. and the resistance that it had yesterday was at 188. That's why I talked about that resistance. Now it's again, like we know, old supports become new resistance levels. So 188, or pretty much 190, right, is now going to be the new support. So why might you say that? Again, old resistance levels become new supports, but if it breaks the support, then it becomes a resistance level again. So as you can see, it bounced right at this 190 area, and now it has a, in a sense, kind of a resistance right here around 215. And really what I want to wait for are pullbacks. It's one of the biggest things that I like to wait for. And what I mean by that is right as the market opens, you usually tend to see either a dip or a rise, right? A pullback would mean that, right now it's trading around 205. A pullback would be for it to come back to the support at, $2. Make sure that it holds above $2. If it starts to rise again, then I can make the decision to jump on in, let's say at 205. I'll sell at the resistance at 215 or 220, and I'll cut my losses if it breaks the support at $2. So that would be my whole plan. So let's go ahead and make sure that we write out our plan. That's the whole point of this prime bear pick chart, is to analyze stocks, set up your plan, and then stick to it. So let's say we buy in for SPI, since we buy in at 205, so that's going to be my purchase price. Target sell price, let's say it's at 215 at the low end. Stop loss will be at $2, since it will automatically trigger when it goes below $2. And then it calculates my percentage risk is 2.44%. My percentage growth is 4.65. As you can tell, this isn't necessarily what I want, especially for this $1,000 challenge. My percentage risk is actually a little bit higher, and it has to be because this is a little bit more of a small cap stock. And SPI is going to be extremely volatile. So what I can make sure, I do, just to make sure that I see growth within my account, is to get when I see, or to get in on SPI when I see signs of upward momentum. So I'm making sure that it does bounce at the support that I, indicate or validate, like maybe like $2 or 190, and making sure that it bounces and starts to see signs of upward momentum. But let's go ahead and continue moving on just to see what else we can find. But this is definitely a huge gapper since yesterday it closed at 136. So for those that couldn't sell, I'm sure this is going to be a nice little surprise of 50. Where is it at right now? 204, 50% profit, which is ridiculous. I kind of want to see what everyone within the group chat is saying. Let's see. Okay. So it looks like a couple guys are trying to lock in profit. Talking about this is the pre-market group chat. Let's see. All right, and the reason that SPI is doing so well, so if you guys go to news, I believe they just signed a contract. That's pretty much what I read. Yeah, they closed the deal, and that's really what led to that. So let's continue looking for good gappers or stocks that might see pullbacks, and just waiting for the bounce. Okay, so this one saw a pretty good rise, and the reason that, again, these are called gappers, meaning that they've gapped up based on the previous close, meaning that they're up a lot more than what they were when they previously closed, right? So that makes sense. Now, why is it that I kind of like going for stocks that have already seen rises, right? Does that mean that, well, it's going to continue to rise? Well, a lot of people, right as the market opens, are going to want to start locking in profits, and then the demand for for wherever MNKD is pretty much going to just slow down, and it's not really going to be there, especially when a lot of sellers, if there's more sellers than buyers, then you're going to see that there's going to be a little bit of a pullback, right? So, and that's the whole point of us, trying to identify, where it's going to bounce. And the reason that, MNKD is, so high based on its previous close, it has a huge margin for a pullback, for it to, bounce and then come back up. And then on this, when it bounces, that's where we want to identify where is it going to bounce, what's the support that it's going to form, and then what's going to be the resistance. And why is that so important? Well, we want to make sure that we catch it at the bounce meaning that let's say it bounces all the way down to 160, because that was the old support. So let's say it's at 184. It has a huge pullback to 160. I don't want to get in right as the market opens at 180. I want to get in when it bounces at 160 and maybe get in at 162, 165, making sure that it's showing signs of upward momentum, and it'll most likely come back to, again, old supports become new resistance levels. It'll probably come back up to 170, 175. And in doing that, now I bought in from 160 to 160, let's say 170 at the low end, 6.3% profit that I've created, or I've identified because of this bounce. So it's not just about, all this margin of profit that I've missed out on, but understanding that right as the market opens, you tend to see some pullbacks. And on these pullbacks are the ones that I like to capitalize on. And it's just a different style of trading. So there are stocks that maybe like MNKD, right as the market opens, will continue to rise. And, it won't see the pullback right away. So what does that mean? Well, then that means I'm most likely not going to trade it because it's not performing the way that I thought it was going to be. And you should never trade, anything that you don't truly understand, or don't truly feel comfortable trading. So I'm going to continue to look around to see if I can find any good ones. So MNKD looks pretty good. Whoa. All right. Well, this is really low. I'm going to go a little bit further back and see what the potential. Yeah. Okay. So JNUG being at like almost a all-time low. Yeah, it's not at a 52-week low, but it's pretty low still. 1570 has a margin of profit if it goes back up to 17 of 7.65. This is a gold-based ETF, so again, this is not a penny stock. So these aren't extreme. These are not extremely, in a sense, too risky compared to some of the true pink sheet stocks that come up. But it looks like it has a pretty solid support, and it's using almost or validating the same support that it had yesterday, right as the market opens. So what I mean by a pullback, remember I told you like once the market opens, it drops. Um, this has pretty much happened. So a couple minutes went by, and then all of a sudden there's a pullback, and this huge red candlestick. Although it was a red stock, right? It bounced here at 180, 186, and then came back all the way back up to $17. So it created this margin of profit from 1586. You wait for the bounce, and it comes back up to where it is. And although yesterday JNUG ended with, how it closed almost just even, it had this margin of profit from its low to high of about 7%. And it really comes down to, how you how you identify these gaps. So are we most likely going to see a pullback once the market opens? I most likely think not. I think it's too low already. But am I 100% sure? No, that's why I wait for, 1 to 2 candlesticks on this 1 minute chart, and see how it plays out to make sure that, again, I minimize my risk, and I promote growth. So I want to actually see what you guys have to say. So JNUG actually seems like one that's not very risky for me right now. If it simply goes back up to this resistance that it was before, or the support that it had before here at 1650, that's 3.2%. And again, for this $1,000 challenge that we're doing within our group, from $1,000 making it $20,000 within 1 year, you need to lock in an average of 2.34%, 3 times a week and 4 times a month for with the power of compounding interest. And we're using a Robinhood instant account or Robinhood Gold account, whatever it is that you have. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that we use our total account value in the sense to continue to compound that and to see the largest growth we can, right? So that only limits us to be able to day trade 3 times, since we, with this account, have under $25,000. And again, the whole reason that I started this challenge and I refunded my account only 1,000 instead of my 30,000 is to put myself in your guys' shoes, so we can overcome it. And definitely, it's been a completely refreshing experience, just because of all the different obstacles, as you guys could imagine, based on my previous videos that I've had to make. And it's led to a lot of stuff that I actually didn't want to experience, with all the restrictions that my account experienced, especially with the first week that we did it, and ending with the last week and a half of I think it was one of my biggest losses of losing like 7% each day for the past, what was it, 2 days, was because Robinhood restricted my account, didn't allow me to sell, but whatever. Don't want to use that necessarily or talk too much about that. We definitely know how to overcome those hesitations now, and that's the reason that I'm making these like videos and these recaps and stuff like that, so you guys can see like my mistakes, my best practices, in a sense, so we can promote growth within the group, in a sense, just can, again, provide a supportive community for all of you guys. So I hope you guys see that. And let me go ahead and see one last thing that the people within my group are looking at. And why am I not sharing my screen? I apologize, guys. So again, this is a Tech Club Solutions group chat. I saw LINU and AMD. We have 4 minutes until the market opens. AMD and all these gappers. That's why I find this group to be, so useful. Never trade based on anyone else's opinion, no matter what platform you use. That's one of the biggest rules, right? So understanding that, like, not what anyone tells you should you ever trade, right? It really comes down to you, and if you can't identify potential, and if you can't make sense of a good stock, and you don't understand what a good trade means, meaning that you don't know where the low points are and the high points are, there's no shame of not trading it. And there's simulation trading, there's paper trading, which is no real monetary risk. If you want to try it out with that and get your feet wet first with the market, then why not, right? But you should never trade based on anyone else's opinion, especially if you don't understand how to trade. It just means that you have to, dedicate a little bit more time into learning. And is there anything wrong with that? Heck no. We all start from somewhere, but just understand that this is a very competitive market, and 90% of people lose. So don't think that you're any different, especially if you're coming in, not knowing anything, right? And again, we all start from not really knowing anything, but it comes down to how much you want to dedicate and how much you're open to learn, and how much time you're willing to put in it. And if you go in blindly and you kind of hope for the best, I can almost promise you that you're going to lose money. So it really comes down to understanding, planning and executing, and how consistent and how disciplined you are. So just wanted to talk to you guys about that, because I know we have a large network of very young and very new traders, and I want to make sure that I don't promote false hope whatsoever. And it's something that we talk a lot within our community of traders is how much you have to dedicate to actually learn. So if you guys can see during AMD, again, pre-market hours, you see this dashed line. This is pre-market hours, and before or right to the left of this dashed line, this is aftermarket hours for yesterday. So you could see again, like, old supports become new resistance levels. So I had a resistance level right here about 120. It broke that resistance during pre-market hours. It hit highs of about almost 1140. Saw a little pullback, and it's flatlining here at 125. So it's holding above 125, and did it just break? No, we have a couple buyers here at 125, a couple sellers, or one seller at 126, and then the rest at 130. But this one also has the possibility of having a nice little pullback back to where it was, and they can develop or build this margin of profit. So I'd like it to come back up to this 110, obviously, to ride it back up to where it's at. But again, this margin isn't huge. It's about 2.5%, so nothing crazy. And let me go to LINU. We have 1 more minute to the market open. I actually saw this one yesterday. I really didn't like it. I already think it's already too inflated and too much hype. And that's one of the biggest things, is I don't really like following stocks just with too much hype. It looks like it's seeing consistent upward trends. But it looks like it might be breaking that trend, because consistently it's been showing signs of upward momentum, but not today. It saw a pretty big pullback. So we'll have to see how this one opens. But what I really like today that shows low risk and good potential was JNUG and SPI. SPI definitely does not show low risk, but just a lot of volume. And there's the first red candlestick. A lot of people locking in profits. Again, demand not really being there. Is it going to bounce at 210? 210, no, broke that. Again, this is why it's so important to lock in profits, guys. for all those that are trading SPI. Well, it looks like it bounced at what, 205, 205, 213, 214, 216, 218, 220. Whoa. Right now, we just experienced, guys, this bounce from SPI that was from 205 to 222. That was 6.7% profit that someone just experienced just in this one 1 minute or a couple seconds from the market open. That's how quick you have to be. Now let's look at JNEV. And again, I know you guys are gonna, you guys, a lot of people like focusing on like really like volatile stocks and stuff like that. And 100% like understand why, because they're extremely attractive. And it's kind of, the quick in and out of, that 5 to 10% profit. Realistically, I find myself to be more profitable with these more stable stocks, identifying low points. Again, a little bit more boring for people. And then again, smaller profits of margin of 3%. That's just my style of trading. And if you guys are a little bit more, want to be a little bit riskier and trading stocks that see a little bit more volume and stuff like that, then, go for it. Just all I ask you guys to do is, trade whatever it is that you guys think that you guys identify potential in, right? That's whatever you guys want to do, right? But the most important thing that has helped me is have a plan. And what I mean by that is making sure that I understand where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out, and where I would cut my losses. Right now, we just bounced at $2, which is support that we called, but it's not really showing signs of upward momentum. It's actually kind of just flatlining here. What the heck? Why is it like that? So we called the support at $2, and it's back at 210. That's 5% already. Let's see how this plays out. AMD, I'm not too sure if you guys remember that it was at like 11.25. It hit lows of 11.15. I'm actually looking at it on my smartphone, the TD Ameritrade app. Okay, SPI is back at the resistance at 215. It looks like there's a slight resistance at 215, and it almost struggles to go above it. There's a wall of buyers here. Oh shoot, just broke it. We just experienced 10% plus, 15% plus, 15% in 2 minutes. It's ridiculous. Seeing a little pullback. Again, that's why it's important to lock in profits. Know where you're getting in, know where you want to get out. So around 220, that's 10%. Yes, it has more potential to go up, but it really comes down to how much you're willing to risk. Again, volume is going to die out, especially within the 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're going to start seeing some pullbacks. So make sure that you guys are getting in at the low points and selling at the high points and just locking in those profits. I'm going to switch my screen over to PBR, was another one that I wanted to analyze. It looks like it hit highs of 265 during aftermarket hours yesterday, highs of 864, and saw a little pullback as the market opened. Has a support at 850, nope, pull 855, and had lows of yesterday at about, or closed yesterday at 847. So will it bounce? The reason that I'm talking about PBR is because of this huge gap that it has. Again, a Brazilian petroleum company. It's one that I've been trying to follow for a couple days. Again, the low points and the high points, and the low points being around the support, and it's been here about 1, 2, 3 times, and this third time it's not at the lowest point, right? But it's around like it hit lows of about like 8.40 yesterday. Again, about these low points, and then selling at these high points of about like $9. And just understanding these trends just consistently, 7% profit. That's really what it comes down to. So only trading it when it's at the support, only, and selling it when it's at the resistance, and just understanding, what it is that you're trading, and performing technical analysis, identifying potential. And again, it's a very repetitive technique, but it's a technique that's, um, quite useful, I think. SPI approaching support again at $2. Will it break? All right, guys, this is the second time or third time. It looks like it's bouncing again. It's at 205. Will it bounce all the way up to 220 again? That's, the question. It's actually holding a little bit. So what's your risk if you get in right now? It's at 201, 202. If you stop loss at $2, that's 1% loss with a way higher margin of profit. So if you have the day trade and it makes sense to you, then do what it is that you see potential in. So at 208, 206. And that's so sweet. I'm so glad that hopefully it helps some of you guys out with the exposure. And what I mean by that is me talking about like SPI and certain gappers and kind of capturing it live, assisted you guys. In no way should, again, you ever trade based on anyone else's opinion. But again, it all comes down to exposure. And that's something that I think our group does very well, is exposing people to, good potential, or even, just potential whatsoever. But it comes down to the investor to identify the potential, to set up a plan on where they're buying, where they're selling, and where they'll cut their losses to manage their risk, and then executing, following it, sticking to your plan, and that's what makes a good trader. Utilizing the exposure, no matter if it's from a newbie, or a very knowledgeable day trader, whatever it is that it comes down to. Use exposure, but make sure that you are the only decision maker on what you invest in. So just broke the support at $2, and let's see where it's going to bounce. I'm going to back up a little bit. And again, if you guys remember, it used to have a previous resistance at $1.88, and most likely this is where the new support is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and see. So 192 was an old support during pre-market hours. So will it bounce at 192? Again, not getting in at the lowest point, that's not the most important part. It's about getting in when you're seeing signs of upward momentum. So when it starts to bounce, you can wait for one green candlestick, two green candlesticks. But as you can see, SPI is extremely volatile. And what I mean by that is, with two green candlesticks, that's all the chance you had to come back up, right? So it looks like it bounced already. It bounced at 194. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Broke above this, what should have been a resistance, but it doesn't look like it's holding very well. That's 5%. Dana had a quick little bounce. All right, so it's showing signs of upward momentum. So again, now setting up a plan. This is probably the one that I'm going to decide to jump on in. So it's showing signs of upward momentum. It has a new support. It used to have a resistance at 1605. I'm going to get in at 1605 with my Robinhood account. Again, just I really don't like going into something like extremely volatile sometimes, because it's a little bit harder to trade on my Robinhood account compared to my Fidelity account. And if anything, if I see more potential, I'll make sure to tell you guys about what I'll be trading with my Fidelity account. But right now, I plan on getting in at 1605, or just broke 1605. So no, it looks like it's still holding pretty well. That's a pretty solid support. If I stop loss out anything below 1590, my potential for loss is less than 1%. But if I sell back at the resistance that it has, from 1605 back to the resistance at 640, that's more than the 2.3% that I need. So it makes sense to me, and it's nothing crazy or out of reach, right? I feel like the potential for risk is worth the potential for profit, and that's at the low end, right? Again, not overhyping anything or not hoping for the best. It's something that I understand. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna go for. And other than that, it looks like SPI is back at 210. So great for those that were able to jump in again at the low end and identify that support. But other than that, I think I am all done now for my live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me see if there's any specific questions that are coming out that you guys want me to answer. Just because, why not? See if I can answer some of them. Well, that's not going to be very sure. So there's a live chat. So Jacob D is asking, what online broker should I use? What comes down to what is it that you're trying to, you know, uh, like what your experience level is. If you don't want to pay for commissions, Robinhood offers a non-commissionable platform. If you're asking that question, then that means that you're probably new to trading. And if you're new to trading and you've never traded before, you might want to think about the TD Ameritrade paper trading platform. And I'm 100%, I'm not affiliated with TD Ameritrade or anything like that, but I 100% will support any paper trading platform, especially for new members, to minimize the potential for actual money loss. And what I mean by that is you're going to make a lot of mistakes once starting out. So why risk real money? I mean, there's a whole different experience when risking real money, but why risk the hard-earned money that you've worked hard for and continue to lose that when you can at least use the paper trading account? So that's just something that I would recommend. To start off with the paper trading and then start growing your account or start funding your account and start saving money for your actual brokerage account. So by the time that you make all these mistakes and learn from them, and you develop yourself as a better trader, you'll have this account that in a sense can accommodate the type of experienced or knowledgeable trader you are, rather than right now going in with $1,000 and losing a majority of it because you're going to be making all these mistakes. So I hope that makes sense to you. How can I join the Facebook group? I'm sorry, I usually talk about it. The link is provided for you right down in the description. It takes you right over to the Facebook group. You have to ask to join. Once you get accepted, on the top pinned post of the Facebook platform, so I'm going to share my screen real quick because so many people ask me what is it that I'm talking about. So on the top pinned post, once you get accepted, so again, pinned post right here, you click see more. You agree to the terms and conditions, and then all the group chats are available right here. The pre-market or the swing trading group chat is currently full. So again, just be aware of that. And then to find any file that I've shared with you guys, it's under files. There's a lot of you watching right now. If anyone ever asked that question, just know every file that I've ever uploaded is under files. So the 1,000 growth plan or the prime berry pig checklist that I've talked about is right here. So you just have to download it and make sure that you open it using Excel. All right. Whoa. Celeste Siegel. She's actually a trader in our account. She says that that today's live stream was extremely helpful. Thank you again so much, Celeste. Corey Tyler says he bought in on SPI at 207, or sold at SPI at 207, 1,147%, $1,147 profit. Amazing. And again, I had nothing to do with it, so I don't want to take any credit. Again, I'm just talking about trying to identify potential. I personally did not trade SPI today, so I want to make sure that's 100% clear. But we found the potential as of yesterday. We found the potential and identified potential today, and you guys saw it all happen. All I really like to do is, if I'm not trading or if I don't necessarily benefit from it, as long as I can expose someone to potential, and then you as the investor make sense of it. If it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, then don't trade it. Then kind of shout outs like that are crazy that how much money they actually make. But again, that's not necessarily something that I make realistically, even with the account that I trade with $30,000, because I only risk $3,000 per trade. But it's just something, again, just to show you guys what is possible. So it looks like you guys were just talking about different stocks. Jacob Herrera asked, how do you get into the group chat on TechBuds? I just showed you how to click on the top and post, and all the links are provided for you right there. So Michael Lemieux says Thinkorswim requires you to send in papers now, Ricky. I think what you mean by that, if your credit isn't to a certain point, as in your like credit, they might ask for to validate like your identity, so maybe a social security number or an ID. So just know that that is a process. You do have to be a United States citizen and have a social security number. But other than that, I mean, doesn't cost you anything to open the account, nor the paper trading account. And you can simply download the free TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, which is what I was using, 100% for free on my MacBook. So that's actually very useful. So Mike Grant says, hey, Ricky, with the PDT rule, you can only make 3-day trades in a 5-day period. So that means if you get out of SPI 3 times today for profit or loss, you're done for the week. Correct. So a buy and sell or sell and buy is 1-day trade. So a buy and sell is 1-day trade, and then a sell and buy is another day trade. So just understand that. And you can only day trade 3 times out of a 5-day period. And that's why with this $1,000 challenge, we are only day trading 3 times out of a 5-day period at an average growth of 2.34% for the day, right? So Javier Paz says, you must be on a paper money platform. No, I don't know if you're talking to me, but I'm not. Hey, Ricky, you can link your watch list with the charts. So anytime you click on the ticker. Oh, sweet. Thank you, Joseph. So motivation says motivation. I don't actually know if it's just actually supposed to be motivation, but that's actually a pretty cool name. Ricky, have you ever thought of teaching small groups in person? Just wondering. Not necessarily. A lot of my time, and again, so this is why I go live, because I don't have much time to edit videos, and a lot of my time has to do with working on the back end of 4TechBuds, and just answering and hopping on different calls and getting things done. But I also run different like businesses that I have, like a property management company, I have an investment company, and then I'm working on 2 other companies with, or 3 other companies with different partners and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily have the time for it right now. It is something that I'd like to explore later, especially if we can continue to good, and especially if it's something that you guys want. But overall, I mean, I am not a licensed broker. I can't be telling people like what to trade or really anything like that. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that, and that's why I talk about the importance of never listen to anyone on what they're telling you to trade. But I just really like talking about what my whole thought process, and it tends to help people out and getting clarity on like how to trade and stuff like that. So that's the whole point. Have I had a chance to check out Matador? No, I don't know what that is. If you guys want to direct message me what that is, then yeah, I'd be more than happy to check it out. Okay. Oh, Javier Paz was responding to someone else with a 15 to 20-minute delay on their TD Ameritrade platform. So just make sure that if you are in that paper trading account and you have like delayed quotes or real-time quotes, then you contact a TD Ameritrade Fidelity rep. You just get on the phone with them, and they can enable real-time quotes on your actual account. All you have to do is call and subscribe as a non-professional. It doesn't cost you anything. So make sure you go ahead and do that. It looks like it was Run Bob that asked that. So LINU. Someone's saying that it's running. But overall, I want to thank each and every one of you guys again for tuning in. If you guys can like the video, letting me know that you guys enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it. If not, then I 100% understand. You guys definitely don't have to. If you guys could subscribe, we do these on the daily. So I'd really love to have each and every single one of you guys join us again. And if there's anything that you guys personally want from me, the best way to get in contact with me again is within the TechBud Solutions group chat. Ask me any questions. Again, don't have to apologize for reaching out to me. I do get a certain amount of messages like a day, and it becomes very difficult to answer to all of them. But in no way do I use that as an excuse. I try my best to answer all of you guys. So just know that, and just shout out like any suggestions or any questions. And if you guys see any comments down in the comment section that you guys think you guys can answer the right way, why not answer them and help these people out? We want to make sure that we provide a supportive community for everyone. So if you guys can help out, great. If you guys can't, then maybe you guys can at least guide them in the right direction. So like always, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I really need to check my position with JNUG. Oh, we're up, but not much. But overall, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Like always, let's make sure that we end the week on a green note. Take care, guys, and what is it? Today's Thursday. Oh, I was going to say, hope you guys have a good weekend, but no, still Thursday. So take care, guys.